Traffic lines are necessary to add realism to your layout. On my last N-scale layout, I used 1/32 inch pinstripe tape to create my traffic lines, and it worked very well, as you can see in this picture. That is because this layout is a coffee table layout and is kept indoors with temperature control.
My new N-scale layout is kept in my garage without temperature control. As you can see, changes in temperature cause expansion and contraction, which constantly cause the tape to loosen from the road material. This is especially true on curves. It holds a little bit better on the straightaways. But I'm tired of trying to replace it and getting it to work right, so I'm going to need a different technique. So I've done some experimenting with tape and paint, and I like what I have here. Although of course the edges aren't as sharp using the paint in between tape. Doesn't give me again the sharp edges that I had when I was just using the vinyl tape. But then again, the vinyl tape made the traffic lines look like they had just been painted, and they were quite shiny. So I think this will give it a better aged look and is closer to what I want. So the first thing I had to decide was what kind of paint I was going to use. And here I have 3 different paints. The first one on top here was a paint pen. Now the paint pen has a nice sharp point, but the problem is that the material that I use for my road is black foam core. I just ripped the paper off, and the resulting foam core gives me a very nice asphalt look. But the drawback to it is that this very sharp point actually makes an indentation where you put the paint, because that's a hard tip. There is also this one. Now this has a softer tip, but as you can see, it doesn't give a very nice look. I don't know how many times I'd have to go over it to make it look darker, and as a matter of fact, this yellow looks a little green on that black foam core, so that didn't work. So this nice looking one here, this is an acrylic paint paste type. I use it straight out of the tube. You can get this at any hardware store. I'm using cadmium yellow deep hue because it gives me that almost orange look in the safety yellow. Down here at the bottom, which you see did not work, this is Tester's Model Master acrylic paint, and it was just too thin. It leaked underneath the tape that I put under there and just made a mess. So it looks like the acrylic paint used that artists use is going to do the best job for me. So let's see how we do this. Okay, I have a section of black foam core with the paper torn off, and I've marked a line down the center. This is going to give me 2 inches over here and 2 inches over here, and that is what, a 27 foot single lane in each lane. So what I'm going to do to start is I've got some 3/64 inch tape. I don't believe this is the same brand that I was using down there on my layout, but I found that it works just fine. So I want to put a double line down the center of this road to mark the 2 different directions. So I'll just lay this down cover it up like that. And that will be the area in between the double line. Okay? So that's the inside of each double line. Next, from Amazon, I bought this 1/4 inch tape. Now the reason I guess you could use a bigger tape on a straight area, but when you start getting to curves, you're going to find that the 1/4 inch tape bends better. So lay this down, and I'm just eyeballing this, but approximately another 3/64 of an inch. And we put that down on either side. Like that. Okay. Now, the edge of the road is supposed to be white. So I'll take my tape and just take it all the way out to the edge of the road. Now this line can be a little wider if you want to, but it's going to mark the shoulder. And the edge here will be the outer edge. We don't need any tape there. Okay. Now, for the white line, broken line that goes in between, again, we're going to, because it's only one line, we're going to do just like we did in the middle. And I'm just approximating here. Once I get to my layout, I will make sure that this center line is dead center in the road from here to here. But for the purposes of this demonstration, we'll just do this. Now for the broken line, let me get this up just a little. Alright. I've got a ruler here and I have little marks. I have a 1/2 inch for the space, and then I have 3/4 inch for the space. Then I have a 1/2 inch where I'm going to put paint, then a 3/4 inch space, and then a 1/2 inch where I'm going to put paint. So I'll go ahead and mark these with pencil to show me where to put my cross pieces of tape. So now that I have it marked, I'll get my 3/4 inch tape and I will tear off little pieces and lay it across where I don't want any paint. And because the tape is exactly 3/4 of an inch, it marks my 3/4 of an inch spot very, very well. So I will continue to place these and also do the same down here in this area, and I'll be right back. So make sure you have all of the tape pressed down well, but if you're using this acrylic paint, artist paint, it's so thick that it really can't get under the tape. So I've poured some of that out and I've got my brush ready, and we'll just apply the paint right on. And of course you have to stay in between the tape. We don't want to run over here and get any of this tape on the road. I'll put it on nice and thick, and I suppose you can tell by what I have so far that this is going to need 2 coats. If you were doing a concrete road that was a lighter color, it would probably only require 1 coat. But because it's trying to cover black with it, it's going to need 2 coats. Okay, so we've got the white done. Excuse me, the yellow done. And clean the brush a little bit. And we'll go with the white paint and just run it all the way up to the edge of the road. As you can see, the white paint for some reason covers a lot better than the yellow paint, even though both paints have the same consistency. I can't really tell you why that is. Fortunately for this demonstration, there's a lot more white paint than there is yellow paint. So the edge is done like that, and here I just put the paint on to make our broken line dividing the 2 lanes going to one way. You see the white paint really covers well. So I will continue to finish the paint, and when this dries, then it should only take about 20 minutes for that to dry, and I'll put on another color of yellow paint, and I'll be right back. I have let the paint dry for a couple of hours because I wanted to be sure that it was not only dry to the touch, but that there was no water left in it whatsoever. That way, when I pull up the tape, I should get some nice clean lines. And we'll start here on the edge, and we're getting a nice line. And that's the edge of the road. And let's see if all this pulls up at once. Should be able to get both sides. Isn't that nice? And here we have, I'll pull up the center one, And then we'll get the sides. And this is looking real nice. I like this. So, it looks like this technique is going to work just fine. Yes, nothing to it. So now that we've finished this, let me show you how we take care of this. I showed you this at the beginning of the clinic. What this does is approximate what it would be like on the switchback road on my layout, where I have this hard right and another hard right. So what I'm going to do is, on the back, I've etched in with a pencil very lightly. You probably can't see that here, but I have done it. I've etched in where the center of my line is going to be. And I will use that to help guide me in placing my tape. And again, this is the 3/64 tape. And I'll put it in, and because it is so thin, it can actually make this dog leg. Alright? And again, this will probably be more difficult on the layout, but it can be done. Alright? So, once I have that, I can begin with the the 1/4" tape. Now this is going to be done a little different because this tape is thicker. I'm not going to be able to make the corner, so I'm not even going to try. Alright? We'll do that with smaller pieces of tape. Because when you go around it, it'll start crinkling up in the corners. Okay. Now, for the inside, I'm actually going to cut that, and for this corner up here, I'm going to cut a little template. Oh, it's not quite far enough. And place that. Sorry, I'm blocking your view. Alright. And on the outside, I'll just put some extra pieces of tape like that. And you see how that works? See through my hand there? Until you get around to where you can come straight across. So, I'm going to continue lining this and then paint it and be right back. It's been a couple of hours since I put the second coat of paint on, So we'll pull up and looks like I have a little clump of paint here, and we'll just cut that off. Okay, and now we'll pull up the rest. Looks like we're getting some fairly nice lines here. Okay, now you see where I pulled it out right here and I have a little spot. Well, I've got this tiny little brush. Got these, I think it was 10 for $1 at Hobby Lobby. It's probably $2 now. I've had these a while, but I'll just go ahead and get some paint and put it in there. Put it on nice and thick. And there's a little spot there. But you can use your knife to take out paint where you think it's too thick. You can use this brush to mark on it. If you're in a bigger scale, you can use a bigger brush. But that's going to look just fine. I'm going to use this technique to do all of the traffic lines on my layout, and I will show you how that turned out. Just to remind you of what happened when I used my tape. The tape is really nice, but only in the straight areas does it seem to stay on. Now, I've replaced this tape 3 times, and I'm just tired of it. So now I hope that what I've learned about painting lines will make this look really good. So I finished putting my tape down. I'm going to have a double line running up here and white lines along the side of the road until I get across all the railroad tracks. And here you can see I have a gravel shoulder, and so I don't need the white lines there. Please notice that when I got to the hard parts on the radiuses, I just put lots of pieces of tape. It doesn't matter what the tape looks like because the tape's coming off. But I'm ready now to run the yellow paint down the center, and then I will do the white paint along the edges out here closer to the depot, and then with the second coat of yellow paint we'll be done with this section. So I've pulled up the tape and it has the look that I want. This I feel is a little better than using the pinstripe tape because it looks so new and shiny, whereas this looks old and worn. The white lines and the yellow lines, the broken lines and the double lines. But I have a couple of notes for you before I leave. If you're planning on using this Hobby Lobby acrylic, the cadmium yellow is actually a semi-opaque paint, and that is why it took 3 coats of paint to get the coverage I wanted, and even then the black beneath shows up, which actually is something that I like because that's what an old worn stripe would look like. If I like this particular color, I think it's perfect. If you can find another style of paint that is opaque and doesn't require so many coats, you may want to go ahead and use that. But if you are using the cadmium yellow, don't try to put it on so thick that you only need to do one coat. I tried that, and when I pulled my tape up, the masking tape, it pulled the paint right off the road with it, and I had to do it again. So I hope you've learned something from this tutorial. I certainly did, and I look forward to seeing you on my next clinic.